it is me, it is I, small town Didi, your Khadi Azizi, very internet, and Akastracha, and Bakalau, Yala, hot topics. We're gonna do hot topics, but it's not hot topics, it's what's hot on the blogs, but it's not even what's hot on the blogs, because the blogs are cold. So it's what's happening on my TikTok. You see? Let's get into it. Our blogs are dry, so I think I'm gonna I'm gonna have to go back on TikTok, like on the same small town DD's TikTok, and actually generate like content from there for us to come and have chats about on here, because the blogs are dry. They just are. Nothing is happening. I'm gonna be checking my mic a lot, but right, because I'm not in charge. What do I want to talk about? Piqued my interest today. A couple of things. The Youthforia Foundation.
Which side of my face is the black face paint or the Youthforia foundation? You can't tell. You know why? Tar in a bottle. This is jet black face paint, and this is the darkest shade of the Youthforia Date Night Foundation. This is black face paint. This is the darkest shade of the Youthforia Foundation. A few months ago, I tried the darkest shade of the Youthforia Foundation. This is what it looked like on me. I'm gonna apply some of the foundation on this side of my face so you guys can see. Let's just go ahead and try to blend this out, you guys. Enough. Who is that color? I'm gonna wipe this off and let me put the paint all over my face. I'm literally just going in with the face paint. We're gonna do some painting, and let me just go ahead and blend it out with a brush. This is the darkest shade of the Youthforia Foundation. This is black face paint. Sometimes it's okay to say, hey, maybe my brand is not made for complexion. I'm gonna squeeze a pump of this on my forehead just right out the bottle so you guys can see that I'm literally not joking. We're gonna do a big blend of this, you guys. When we say that we want you guys to make shades for us, we don't mean to go to the lab and ask for minstrel show black. What we mean is to take the browns that you have made, create undertones, and do what you need to do in the lab so it's a darker shade of brown. This is the darkest shade, shade 600, and as you guys can see in the bottle, literally jet black. The shade right next to it is shade 590. This is what it looks like in the bottle. Here is shade 600. You guys, there could be like 10 more shades in between these two shades. In addition to that, when we go to the actual website and we look at the swatch, not only is the swatch online literally jet black, there's literally only 4 or 5 shades for people that actually have dark complexions. Not really for black people, for being honest. Not only in 2024 is this so disgusting and disrespectful, but this needs to be pulled off the shelves.
I'm not even familiar with this brand, and I'm not even sure if it's available in South Africa, but the discourse has reached us because, social media, and I have some things to say. I have some thoughts. I'm with everybody else. What the fuck? And the gaslighting, the constantly saying, I have a friend who's that dark. Where's your friend? People have said that in the comments, and people are like, tag them. And the problem is not whether or not you have a friend who's like pitch black, like really, like there's this man that passed me right here at home. I was handing somebody something. I stared because the sun wasn't out, right? But like light was beaming off him. Like it was... That man was magical. It's one of those things where, you can't ask for the skincare routine because there's no routine. The routine is this DNA. Like he was born. That's the routine. Like, babe. I was like, yo, like, also, like, me, I'm one of those people, whenever I see hot people, I'm like, what does it feel like? Do they know they're hot? Like, what do you do when you're attractive? What do you do with it? Like, what do you take it? But anyway, a lot is happening with the foundation. Couple of things. All of this, nobody's that dark. It's not that we're saying that nobody's that dark, but I think some of you are actually saying it. People are like the spectrum of like the beige to brown to black. Listen, it goes there. That's the beauty of us, right? It goes all the way there. The problem with this particular foundation is that there are no undertones. Watch this, and then we can chat. That's the problem. What's the difference between this and like that's food coloring. That undertone is actually it's blue. Like there's a navy in there. If you start to color with like a little bit of the drops, it picks up as like a gray, but the gray has a heavy blue. And there's this glitter. It's called crystal whatever. anyway, when you sprinkle it onto something that you've colored black, it's supposed to pick up on whatever that color is and give you the shimmers that it's picking up in that pigment. And when I used it to color using this brand, it made the glitter appear blue. So even the food colorants people know that you're building a color, right? Like, so there needs to be something communicating underneath that to complement the person who's going to use it, as is the case with foundations, especially foundations. The undertones is a thing, and I think people say it to be cute or to sound like they know color theory or what they're talking about. We don't know we just know something is wrong. We know that when I put this on, it picks up as like orange, or it picks up as like very yellow or red, and that doesn't go with me really well. This one picks up as nothing. It just picks up as black. That's not how skin is. Skin is not fun. Like I said, like there are people who are like this, like a navy black, like for lack of a better description, but like everything, like they constantly look like something is beaming off of them, and it's just, oh. But like, you can't tell me and try to gaslight the whole of everybody into thinking this foundation makes sense. And the language around it is very much, oh, you all said you want to be included so bad. So there. What? We said we want to be included, not for you to like sell us face paint and like make like you're doing us such a favor. Also, the jump from the darkest shade before this, listen, the spectrum of browns, there's no build up to that shade. It was such a gimmick. Like the girls were just supposed to jump up and down and be like, oh, they have a black for us. Some of the language we do need to be careful of as black people. There's all of this, nobody's that black, as if something would be the matter with somebody being that dark. And there are people who are dark, like proper dark. They just are. Their skin is as complex as the next person's skin, in that when you put product on it, it reads the product differently and the product shows up differently. They too deserve to have their product invested in terms of like formulations and all those things. You can't, and sometimes I really think like the marketing behind it is very much like rage baiting, in terms of like, we're talking about it, right? And we know that brands like this don't experience a real backlash. Like their market is predominantly white anyway, or they were targeted at white people. If you look at how the original shade launches went, and the colors of where the darker hues start building up, very, very short, considering that that spectrum in society is much larger than the paleys. You know, hey girl, okay, not saying something is wrong with you, you know, Twilight is kind, hey girl, Khadi loves you too. But anyway, it's not about you. My point is, they never intended. I really am starting to think, when I look at brands like Tarte, when I look at this particular brand, when I go shopping and I'm looking at Wet n Wild, I use Wet n Wild. I've used this since I started wearing makeup. I just brushed my brows up before I came on here to talk to you guys, because I'm now trying to act like a person who tries to put on a face. And by that, I mean I will brush my brows, I will put on a lip liner, I will put on lip gloss, and I have earrings, and I feel so accomplished. Okay. But my point is, when I look at these kinds of brands, I realize that they've built their brands on that rage of capitalizing on selling white women with low self-esteem that exclusivity. It's on purpose when they launch something like this, right? There is no fucking way that you're going to try and tell me that people sit in a boardroom somewhere and they were like, yeah, Laka, this is a brilliant idea. Yeah, we're gonna capture that audience that we want. We're gonna capture a share of that Fenty Beauty market, or of the darkies. We're going to get some darkies on over here. They didn't think that. They thought we make them mad. Nobody makes things trend on social media quite like Black women in particular. That's why the rage bait is like the bait is sent our way, right? We will make it trend, for better, for worse. And we don't have the kind of power to actually have the impact to get a brand canceled. Do you see what I'm saying? What we can is drum up a lot of. I didn't know of Youthforia. I did not. I still don't. I don't even know if it's available in my country. I just know I'm fucking mad and I feel disrespected because I'm still a Black woman. And we're talking about it, right? And I realize that because whiteness does a great job of raising its children, and they run around. I mean, you have very young girls. Like, you look at a brand like Tarte and you look at a Youthforia. It's directed at a particular demographic, right? Girls like that, raised in a particular kind of whiteness, don't give a shit that other people are being excluded from the experiences that are beauty experiences, right? Girlhood experiences, if you would like, or truly anybody who likes to wear makeup, I feel. They don't care. They aren't going to stand in solidarity. In fact, it's going to make them want to go and buy the brand. And you see it in the comments. The gaslighting is coming from predominantly white people saying, I have a friend who's that dark, or didn't you guys say you want to be included? I don't even see what the problem is. Just mix it with another foundation. They go and they get their exact color off the shelf. Mind you, you can't mix it with another foundation. If I find if I go back and I find the video of people trying to mix it, by the way, it wasn't even put out as a pigment to mix with other pigments in order to darken or whatever the issue is. It was put out strictly as a foundation. So that there begins the gaslighting. That's how you know. For me, it's on purpose. They're trying to garner that very white market, we don't give a shit that these Black bitches don't get to play with. And they make a success of it. And you, like Tarte, have you seen who they take on the trips and stuff? Since like the heyday of like makeup YouTube. So what's that, 2016 onwards? It's been the same story with Tarte, and they've changed nothing. Why? Because it's not affecting their bottom line. In fact, it helps them to recruit the next batch of young, blonde, white women who are going to co-sign this shit or not call it out because, well, it doesn't really affect them. And that's why they're not really your fucking friends. That's why you really can't be holding hands with them like that and doing that kumbaya fucking bullshit. You always need to side-eye white women. I am so sorry, except I'm not. I'm not. Ask yourself why these brands stay in business and stay profitable. It's the same scandal over and over. And as the years go, there's still a new batch of like a particular look of white woman that still wants to badly be associated with this brand and prop it up. And there's a relationship that works with each other. Use Black women, especially those, because again, I don't know if I even have access to this product. You all would do yourself a great service to just shut up and not participate in something. Instead of coming on social media and talking about some stuff we just need to keep quiet about. Let's see if we're not talking of, because who the fuck is buying Tarte? And who the fuck is really talking about Tarte or Youthforia? Nobody. It's until they do shit like this where you're like, oh, kids, see, this brand is out here existing. If they don't do shit like that, nobody talks about them because they're not putting out any like new products, any great products. They're not doing that. But that's that on that. I'm gonna have to work on not. Can you imagine? I guess I'm gonna have to work on not staying on a pointy lawn since I want to. If I'm gonna do the TikTok, like what's trending on TikTok videos, I would at least like to take like 2 or 3 stories, and I need the videos to. Man, I'm long-winded. It's fine. I think you guys come here for that. I hope you do. Please do like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let your people know about me. Let's get back to it. The other thing, Trevor Noah. I see there's a Spotify podcast that's been promoted. The first clip I saw was just of him. talking, and then I saw one right before I came on here where he was chatting to Anela. Anela was talking about him and his part, like when his experience of him around his partners is how he makes them feel seen and blah blah blah. And then he segues into talking about marriage. So I'm just gonna let you guys see this quickly, and then we can come back and have a chat about it.
I'm single, and as you say, I'm successful, and that's good. The problem is, though, I'm a loser because of this, right? Society has deemed me a loser, whether I like it or not. Because if you're not married, or you haven't been married, that's the key one. Like, being married is like you've served. There's a certain honor that comes with it. Thank you for your service. And if you've never been married, there's this weird thing that people do to you where, you know, they either treat you like you're not a serious person in life, like they just go like, so what do you do? What do you do? And you're like, what do you mean, what do I do? I live life. And they're like, no, but what do you do? Where are you? And it's interesting to see how that happens. And the other one that I find particularly interesting is there's a little bit of ostracization because there are so many things in society that are based around the plus ones. Like, it's just plus one to every. I get invited to some events where people will be like, you're invited. And then I'm like, oh, is there plus one? They're like, yes, but for spouses. And then I'm like, what? They're like, well, I mean, we can't just give plus ones to anyone. And I'm like, this idiot got married 6 months ago. They don't even know this person. And you're going to tell me that I can't come with my best friend who I can tell you every intimate detail about. This moron put a ring on some stranger's finger and they get more validity than my friend. That's madness.
See, Trevor and I are on the same page, except except not. I think, okay, one of my friends is getting married, yeah, and we're working on some stuff, and I work somewhat in the industry, or I know enough to say to her, do this, don't do that, and she hit me up for that take, and I was like to her friend, because you want people to be seated, like, you need to understand that each bum has a number attached to it in terms of a price tag. You're actually gonna have to get strict about the plus ones. I said that I'm not married and I never want to get married, yeah? And I said, you know what? If I've been dating somebody now for like however long, and you now are feeling the need to include them, but it's like you don't even know this person, and like, I don't know how to explain it, because we have the same mates, so it's not like I'm gonna bring my bestie whom she doesn't know. Her and I come from a circle of like a group of friends from school, so it's not that. Whereas if maybe it was a friend that I made in college and I don't know the rest of like her childhood friends and everybody, and I'd be the outsider, maybe it would make sense where I feel like I need a buffer, like I need a wing person, because it's her day, right? But that's not the issue. I don't know how I feel about the plus one issue. For cost, I feel like you're allowed to exclude people. Truly, like, the weddings get bloated, they get big, they get out of control. And if anything, COVID taught us is that we actually don't need to have these large gatherings and these large numbers. Things get done just as well. So I don't know how I feel about that. But in terms of everything else, what is that very? I don't think here's how I actually feel about marriage, as a person who's like not planning to do anything that's silly or dramatic. I don't have assets necessarily. I'm the asset. Like, I need my freedom of movement. I've told you guys many a time that for me, it's just too much a sacrifice of identity as a woman. Like, the expectation, what I'm like expected to shed so much of myself and take on another person's identity. And people are fickle. Men especially even get to be fickle. They're not just, no, they get to be. Avenues are created for them to be. Redemption arcs are in place for them to, wash up when they fucked shit up, all types of stuff. And it's not worth it. I've weighed shit up, and I get me. There's never a moment where I'm seeing somebody get married and I'm like, oh, one day, or how I would love that. I always look at them with like, oh my God, they're so brave. They're so strong. They're just so brave, because like, truly, hoes are in the trenches. Like, it's looking trenchy. Yeah. And it's looking trenchy. Like, no. Mm-mm. It's looking like that desert without water that Kanye spoke of. I have nothing in me that's like yum yum. Let me get on over there. But outside of that, I do find that because it is because it is the trenches, people who are like in this battle, I feel like they walk around with this, you don't know what it's like, but nobody wants to admit what they're saying is it's miserable over here. And the little bit of benefits that we're going to get for allowing ourselves to get into this situation, we're going to make sure to exclude anybody else who does not come to the war with us. It's like, it's like better than golf while I'm laughing. It's like you weren't drafted or you avoided the draft somehow, and now we're over here and it is war. So yeah, you don't get to sit with us or whatever. It's like, I'm sorry, how is my relationship or my relationships any less valid simply because I didn't do this dumb thing that you did? Yeah, I need to stop calling it that. I don't think, listen, I think it works for some of you, okay? I actually will give you guys that. I really think, I don't think it's this, I don't think it's like, you know, people are like, oh no, marriage is a beautiful thing. No, it can be ugly. It can be the ugliest thing you ever saw. So no, you're not playing that fucking stupid game with me. It's adjacent to babies being a blessing. Don't get your bees fucked up. Burden can be one of them, bitch, okay? No. Stop trying to sell us on this rubbish. You ought to look like you're having a good time over there. You look like you're in prison. Under the fucking jail. It's not a good time over there. But what I especially don't like about something that's bothered me for a while is how little the institution and that union, like the expectation of that relationship in relation to the other relationships that pour into it. I often feel like friends, especially girlfriends, you know, we nurture a marriage. You know, if we can tell that something is the matter, or family, you know, the mom will offer to babysit the kids. The village will rally when it can tell that this marriage needs support. And maybe if we offer this and they spend a bit more time together, maybe if we offer just our experiences and they realize that this is actually not a reason to quit, you know, you can come. Everybody's constantly, because the marketing of brand marriage has been fantastic, that people are convinced that it is worth saving, even when it's fucking not, right? It's worth putting into, and you don't just throw it away and this and that and stuff. So we all constantly try to keep this unit together. But rarely does that unit, when it's nice and healthy, rarely does it pour back to replenish those very like channels that channeled into it. Very rarely. And what I mean by that is that if me and my very good friend who's married have a tiff over whatever, very rarely do you get the spouse trying to point out how it can be salvaged, trying to calm the waters down, trying to make it make sense, trying to make it see reason, because other relationships somehow are just not as valuable anymore, which is weird as fuck. And in turn, what happens is, just by observing, what happens is those relationships fall apart and they fall away. And when you guys reach another season where you need those relationships to channel back into you, you look around and those relationships aren't there anymore because they were nothing, right? I'm married now, but I'm married now. But your marriage is not your fucking everything. It actually isn't. It's not your existence. And by like not maintaining good, real relationships with the other people you've been relating with all this while, you risk that very relationship not having the support that it's going to need, because such is the nature of relationships, right? The self-importance as well, especially when you have kids, you know, people just thinking, oh no, they don't need to show up for your things just as much. Like you're a single person, therefore you're not serious. Like they can't take you seriously, and them not showing up to your stuff doesn't weigh as much. Personally, I haven't experienced that, but I've seen, especially when you get up there in age and people get married and they have kids, and you're the single one who hasn't had kids. People treat you like a spare friend, like or I don't know. It's like your life is not serious. Like your accomplishments aren't worth showing up for like that. But they literally want you to make a big fuss over their kid's grade R graduation. Choke. Do you know what I'm saying? A lot of you in these unions take it so seriously that if somebody's not in the trenches with you, you think you need to be dismissive of them or the seriousness of their relationship. Like, marriage is not how we all value or yeah, it's not how we all place value on whether or not a relationship is important or if I'm committed enough to something. The contract does not make sense to some of us. Like as a legal document, we don't want to sign it because it's just not adding up. And if that means I'm not serious, well, bitch, call me a clown, it's fine. Like I'll be the non-serious person. But it's not, I don't see where I'm winning, Sana. I really don't. But that's enough on that. Did I have something else I wanted to talk about? I want to talk about Mrs. White, but I think I want to talk about Mrs. White in her own video and why she's upsetting people so much, because this video is already getting too long. And when I add the little TikToks in between, it's going to be longer than I want it to be. But, decentering men, because I wasn't making videos the past 2 weeks and stuff, and I see that the West has formed its own 4B movement. For little quick thing, if I'm wrong, listen, just say in the comments, okay? 4B is a movement that was started in Korea, South Korea, I believe. Is it? Yes. And it's basically about women going at it alone, and the B's are, it means, what does it mean? Like no men, no sex, no children, and like you're celibate or some shit like that. But Oksalayo, whatever those things mean, that is basically you saying fuck these dudes and everything that come with being romantically involved or really involved with a man in any way, including like making kids for them. Those words all begin with a B. And it's been going on for a bit, and they're saying that the birth rate has declined over there. But from what I'm hearing, that is due to the economic factors. A lot of women are saying, I can't afford to have a kid, so I'm not gonna have a kid. But that in itself is a response to men not showing up. A lot of women would feel safer to have kids if men were doing their part. But a lot of us feel like we're having the kid. Like, this is my child, it's my responsibility. That's how I feel. Even if I'm married and the person is wonderful, good for you, you're a nice guy, yay, 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 whatever. Or I'm committed and I really think you're good. It's still me, because we know you all. The switch up fucking real. The switch up is real with you all. So deep down inside, I know people are trying to attribute it to the economic circumstances. Yes, but that's very much linked to how men get to opt out of fatherhood. If the economic circumstances were still what they are, right? As things stand, it's still that. But men were actually showing up differently. More women would be open to having children, because you don't have this thing looming over you that should he grow tired of me, should he decide he's bored of me, I'm reliant on the whims of this person. Like, should he decide I'm no longer the flavor, I'm now solely responsible for this child. If he was showing up differently, more women would be having kids. But anyway, the West, so that's the women in the Americas, or just particularly they've adopted this movement and they're calling it 4B movement, the West and stuff, and it was trending all over the socials, but I was hella busy. It's not gonna work. Yanni did a take on it. Yanni, somebody I watch on, I bump into a video, I'll watch it depending on what the chat is. But she did a video on it, in unpopular opinion, I'm not for it, saying that it's not going to work, because in the West in particular, because for her, it doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel like they are rejecting or decentering men. They are merely making a noise, trying to get the reaction of a particular kind of man. That's the energy she's getting from them. And I can't say I'm wrong. Like in the Western context, I don't believe that they feel, maybe they even experienced whatever dire circumstances the Korean women feel like they were dealing with that had them coming to a point where they were like, enough, you know. For the Western girls, it feels like it's content creation. It feels like, because you can't decenter the people that you're constantly trying to engage in like conversation with. What in the fuck are these chats? What are you all talking about? I'm decent. How are you? Like, you are centering them. Quite the opposite of the thing that you're saying you're doing by inviting them on panels to chat to them about this stuff. None of it is making sense to me. It's not going to work. It wouldn't work in my country either. South African women are obsessed with men. The bulk of us are pygmies. We just love a man. We can't help ourselves. Our femicide rates like will not serve as a deterrent of any kind. So it wouldn't work here either. And it doesn't sound like it's women in their droves in Korea either. It sounds like Western media is perpetuating or blowing up the significance of this movement in Korea as well, even attributing the birth rate again to this movement when it's really a little bit more layered, and the reasons to that declining birth rate are different reasons and stuff. Maybe it's a bit more salacious. It's nice to hear, to chew on. It's great for content and engagement to attribute it to this particular movement and stuff. But no, we're not going to decenter men. Also, this idea of decentering men, I feel like we're not coming at it from the same place. You know that? Like, what are we saying? I talk about that. You guys know, like, men at my center, it could never, I could never, like, as a grown woman, go out like that. That shit is sad. Like, my ancestors would, like, turn away from me. Like, I'm furelela. I could not. Do you understand what I'm saying? But I feel like the message that we are preaching, and I think I've had this take before. Is it Alexa or Alexis and another lady as well have done a take on this? Kimberly as well, whom I talk about a lot here because I consume a lot of her content. She's also had a chat about this, about how the language around us saying to women, oh, just forget these men and learn how to crochet and build community with some bitches. Like, it's not going to replace that thing. Like, one is not quite like the other and vice versa. Like, it's not a thing. You like the role, what I feel when I'm with a man within a romantic setting, I can't replicate that feeling with my good girlfriend. And that's why I nurture both my relationships, because I am aware that what I'm feeling with this friend, what I feel with myself, like they're not performing the same function, and I don't experience the same feeling from them. The issue when we talk about decentering with us is that what I'm saying is learn that all these relationships play their role in your life, and they hold their different functions, and at a given stage, this relationship may feel stronger and more necessary for the stage that you're at in your life. And then at a different stage, this relationship but at all times, it's a juggling act, and it's a constant recognition of like, I can't get all my needs met by this man. Okay, this man cannot be my center simply because he quite literally cannot be. Like, nobody has that capacity to be your end or be all, your everything. It's not a thing. It doesn't exist. And I know some of you bitches, my man is my best friend. And somebody tried that. Somebody did try that. That man is not your best friend, bitch. That man is not your bestie. I adore him. Hey boo, love you. That man is not your fucking best friend, bitch. Okay? We can fight about it. Y'all get carried away. You get so carried away. He wasn't even there in grade 3. Like, what the fuck? I'm not gonna get into this. I deserve better than this shit. But like, the decentering argument for me, I feel like it's the movement is giving extremists, and maybe in Korea, the culture, like the overall culture, feeds so much into the toxicity that the reaction might feel appropriate. But I don't have enough cultural context to speak to that, right? What I'm saying by that is that maybe that society's fabric has so much toxicity like in it that the women reacting the way that they have is in actual fact not an overreaction, but the appropriate reaction and correction of whatever oppression that they've been feeling under whatever is the culture that they're growing up. And because that's what I'm hearing them say, right? I can't speak to it. I'm just telling you what I've heard them say. Versus like the girls in the West, I'm not saying the girls aren't going through anything, but the girls just want the dudes to act right. They're not really saying whatever. Also, these sisterhoods that we're telling people to form, like, oh my god, just like learn how to crochet, find some girls and like, move out into the woods and be nudists. I don't know what the fuck they're saying, girl. Whatever it is that they're saying over there, it's not gonna work because, hear me out, the base of the relationship is you all centering men while talking decentering men. And we know how bitches who center men move. The moment a man comes around, that's that girl that leaves you at the club, right? Without telling you, and you look for her for a solid hour and she's like, oh my God, Tapete was outside. I couldn't set my battery. That's that girl. If the basis of your because I have people in my life where different phases, this one has been celibate and this one, but we weren't bonding on that, even if we were going through it at the same time. So, and that's what Yanni said as well, that it gives very much cult, especially online, right? Where it's like, because it is a cult, it's giving cult, guys. These are the rules. We're celibate and we don't. If ever you're a human being wanting to experience like the full range of human emotions, feelings, experiences, this, that, and the other, right? If I'm now having a moment where there's a man who's entered in my life and he's ticking all the stuff I wanted, the boxes I needed him to tick, and I now want to like explore whatever it is I explore with this man, I now forfeit this community. I now have to say, in order to be with this man, I have to lose this community of women that I've built over here because we said, fuck these dudes. It's not gonna work. You guys don't have it. Every other week you're trending on TikTok because you went on a girls trip and now you've come back and you're telling everybody how your good home girl doesn't have money and why is she even on the trip if she's broke? Talking shit about each other. Like how friendship is formed is a little bit more organic than that. It cannot be formed under these rules because what more rules do we like put in place where we have to stop and be like, oh my God, we're controlling people's movements. We are curtailing like people's movements. Like, it's a cult. It's giving cult and it's not going to work. Decisions to be celibate, decisions to not make children with these people, deeply personal decisions that I've realized often don't come at I'm so mad because all your reasons for being in this group, by the way, are so different. And that's why I'm saying one of you is there because you're still mad at your man. And the moment he starts to fake, like act right, you're out of there. Do you understand? So the foundation for it is just not real. What's been real is when I've met another woman who's already on her journey and I'm on my journey, and however we got to the same place is informed by different things, but we have this thing that we haven't made an extension of our personality. It's just something about us, right? Like we don't want to get married or whatever it is that's going on, but it's not my entire personalities. It's not our entire personalities. I show up to weddings. I love a good wedding. Love a frog. I love a good tablescaping. Oh, I love a good table. Oh, yes. You know, I love that stuff. It doesn't get in the way of me showing up for the people who want to participate in those things. And I also don't feel entitled to tell other people, we don't do that over here. We can't do that. Who the fuck am I? It doesn't work. Just say you're mad right now because the men have hurt us. The men aren't acting right. And you are feeling like you are experiencing a deep-seated despair at the realization that the men aren't going to change. The men aren't incentivized to change. And the men shouldn't be incentivized. Men should just want to be good people for the sake of it. But their socialization is that they work on incentive, right? I go out and I get a job because I want a woman. Now you realize, oh, the women also get a job. Well, I guess I don't have to do it. I act right and I try to act like I've got some sense about me, and I try to be a good person, and I try not to hurt people because whatever thing I think I'm gonna get. It's always like something linked to like women, like, or a capitalist pursuit that positions you such that you can get the woman you want, or a capitalist pursuit that like gives you the respect of the men you really want to be with. It's never an in-between with them, right? And like these things are no longer incentive enough. And also they are aware that they get to be shitty. Like that's what you're experiencing, that despair of realizing that men don't have to change and men know they don't have to change. So where does that leave you? Because you also have your socialization where you still want that thing with a man. And it's fucking with you. And you think this overcorrection of swinging all the way to this side is what's going to help. It's not going to do nothing like that. It's not. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. But anyway, that's it. Those are all my thoughts. Mwah, mwah. Our 40 minutes. Nice. Fucking nice. Mwah. Bye, Yala.